Cheers, everyone who's joining in. We're going to be talking today about it's our first episode of Riffin with HB. We'll be covering CCR today. Let's see if I can get better up here. Cheers, everyone. Welcome in. First episode of Riffin with HB. We're going to start doing this every Saturday where I bring up a band that I think needs to be brought to light to the younger generation for a lot of older bands or for some more modern bands, some bands that are just not as popular. Let me know, you guys know if you can hear me. Today we're covering CCR. I got some actually a video clip and some articles from Wikipedia that I pulled together just so get some information on. We're going to talk about them. Credence Clearwater Revival. Appreciate you guys being here. We're going to start doing this every Saturday, and then after the show, we're going to meet up on Discord and do a jam session together. So you guys come meet up over there after the show and we'll jam out. Cheers, everyone joining in. Check the comments here. What's up, everyone? Let's see if I can pull up my information. Yeah, we're just going to start from the beginning here. Credence Clearwater Revival, CCR, or known as Credence, formed in El Cerrito, California in 1959. Band members are John Fogerty, he's the lead guitarist and lead vocalist. His brother Tom Fogerty, rhythm guitarist. Stu Cook is on the bass. Doug Clifford is the drummer of the band. The band label they sang on was the Fantasy label. That's the name of the label that they sang on. The band started in 1959 as the Blue Velvets and later as the Gollywogs, and then CCR, Credence Clearwater Revival, in 1967. And between 69 and 71, the band produced 14 top 10 singles, many of which were double A-sides, and 5 consecutive top 10 albums in the U.S., 2 of which Green River and the Cosmos Factory, Green River 1969, Cosmos Factory 1970, right after, hit the top of the Billboard charts, 200 charts of the Billboard. Cool, you can hear me good. What's up, what's up, what's up, what's up? The band performed at 1969 Woodstock Festival in upstate New York, which is pretty cool. A lot of people might know about that. But what you might not know is they were the first major act signed to appear there. They played after the Grateful Dead. I have some notes here in a second that where he talked about how the Grateful Dead basically put them to sleep, and then they had to go up there and just rock the stage. So imagine that was a pretty cool mindset to be in. Let's see. I got some other stuff here. Yeah, here, let me pull this video first because this will kind of get us into it. As far as you guys in the back, I'm gonna have to get to go in a second. Let's see if I can play here. That's the band right there. Okay, it's not letting me do it, which is probably okay anyway. I'm trying to avoid the copyright strikes on these freaking things today, so. Yeah, basically in the band, in the video rather, it's him on stage. Maybe I'll try to get it here, work here in a second. I'll go ahead and finish discussing what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's him on stage, and he's saying that he's trying to get the band to slow down the tempo of the song. He's basically guiding them around and saying, it's the idea of the album in his head. That's what he's thinking about. It's not just the tempo of the song, but it's the whole idea of the whole album. And that's what this guy thought of a lot. It's the whole idea of creating an album, not just a song, because anybody can create a good hit, but to create a really good album is really hard to do, and to make it tell a story throughout the album, especially in the '60s and '70s. These guys from '69 to '71, they were writing more hits than most bands ever could, even to this day. And he talked about it in an interview I watched yesterday that it's just the drive and aspiration after you make one hit to be like, I'm not a one hit wonder, to keep chasing that dream of making more and more hits. So it's really cool. They were a very simple band, but they were super musically inclined, but they got better and better, and their skills got more and more efficient. And the simple was effective, really, for them. It worked really good. And they could jam on a song for 11 to 12 minutes. Heard It Through the Grapevine is a song that's normally 11 or 12 minutes, just about 12 minutes long, but they shorten it down for radio play. And they have a couple songs that are like that. So later on in their music, that's what they started to do with their music, make more radio play songs. That's why a lot of people were saying that they were a sellout, but really it's smart because, you're trying to get people to listen to the music rather than do what you want to do. So, it's pretty cool in that aspect. They tried a lot of different things. In the interview, he talked about, like, this is the idea of music and art is to constantly evolve. The Beatles were constantly evolving. The Rolling Stones were constantly evolving. So many different bands that we're going to talk about, old school bands like that, were constantly changing and developing their style into something different than what it was. And Creedence Clearwater Revival was going more towards pop music, and he even admitted in the interview that it's probably where his music was going, more towards alternative pop and stuff like that, if they had still been a band, because they were already experimenting around with it. Some of the classifications of their music would be considered swamp rock, roots rock, rock and roll, obviously, classic rock and roll, blues rock, country rock, southern rock, um, and more specifically described as a mix between blues, New Orleans R&B, and rockabilly, which is a combination of, like, it's classic rock and it's where rock and roll started off, where it started mixing country and distortion guitars together. Stuff. Well, it wasn't even distortion guitars for a while, actually, so that didn't even come until later. But it's the same idea of combining southern rock with country music, if you will. Creedence Clearwater Revival definitely has that vibe. Every time you listen to their songs, and they're from California, which, growing up as a kid, I'm from the South, and to me, they were like a Southern band. I didn't realize until I got older and started researching about music that they were even from California, which made even more sense, really, if you think about it, because they were really just trying to encompass a lifestyle that they weren't used to. It's the same reason why a lot of people from the South might dream about going to the West Coast, so they write a song about it. So, same thing with people in California. They wanted to go to the South, and there's actually an instance where they went to a hotel and they tried to check in the first time they ever went to the South in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and they had long hair because they were from California in the '70s, and they weren't even allowed to check into the hotel because they were in the South. The people wouldn't let them check in because they had long hair. So it's just crazy to see, like, it's a different time back then. Like, the music was different, and it painted the world that we have today, the music that we listen to today, from these old school bands like Credence. Yeah, that's the notes that I have right here. Literally, I was just talking about that. Yeah, because I'll pull up some Wikipedia notes here in a second. And we can kind of go through them and scroll and talk about it. But yeah, the first time they ever went to the South, because they were writing music way before they went to the South, and they showed up in Baton Rouge, and people were assuming that they were from the South until they showed up, and then they were like, obviously you're not from here. So it's very interesting. Yeah, they opened up in not opened up for '69 Woodstock, but they played at '69 Woodstock, and they played after the Grateful Dead. They were the first major act signed to the '69 Woodstock. And after they played for the Grateful Dead, he said that the Grateful Dead basically put the audience to sleep with their music. Not in like a bad way, I would assume. Just like their music is just chill and relaxed, and people were vibing to it, right? So whenever Credence came out, they're rock and roll. They're Southern rock and roll. So they came in with the heat and the power, and his voice is so raspy and unique, and that's what makes that band, like, that's what separates them out from other bands. Without that voice, they're just another band, really, another good band. But with that voice, it creates something totally unique in their own. That's what separates them apart from other bands. That old school Southern rock and roll sound. It's probably something that I enjoy the most, honestly. Let's see what's going on in the comments here. Cheers, cheers. What's up, everyone? Heck, yeah, exactly right. long hair people need not check in. Yeah, but it's crazy to think about because this is what I'm trying to do. This show, I'm trying to. Cheers, everyone. Thank you guys for joining in. I'm just trying to bring light to people of what reality used to be like back then for these bands and what they had to go through to try to get big. And now anybody can get big overnight, like Instagram famous type stuff. But back then, people had to really work on what they have to try to make it work. Now you can pretty much travel anywhere in the world that you want to go and not really have any issues. But back then, California was a different world. I mean, it still is. It's a totally different place, man, with people from the South. But now it's a beautiful time. We can get together and we can talk about these musics and share them without, the hatred because somebody has long hair. Like, so that's ridiculous. Because they were one of the best rock bands. Like, I gotta repeat the stats. People don't have these stats these days. I mean, from 69 to 71, these guys were throwing out albums and songs like it was nothing, dude. Green River in 69, Cosmos Factory in 70 topped the Billboard 200 charts. 5 consecutive top 10 albums in the U.S. Produced 14 top 10 singles, many of which were double A-sides, all between 69 and 71. Just a couple years after they formed. Yep. This is a sad thing, they broke up. We're not going to get too much into all of that drama about how they broke up, but the fact of the matter is, like the drama aside, the band was really good and they were getting better and they were really timed and they had a great leader, great singer, a great guitarist to shape the band into what it was, to really mold it. Because again, creating music is one thing and that's great and that's fine, but to be able to create a whole album and tell a story about it is a whole other thing. That's really hard to do. Cheers, everyone. Thank you guys for joining in. If you guys got any questions or any comments along the way, just let me know. I'm here in the chat with you guys. Let's see if I can pull up some Wikipedia articles for you. This is the band right here. And for people on my YouTube, I'm going to swap this over. I'm going to send it over on the next one. I'm going to be a little more prepared on it. Yeah, this is the band right here. Lead singer on the very right, John. Tom on the very left. That's his brother. Just picture them up on stage jamming out. I mean, these boys would jam. You guys got to check these guys out. If you haven't listened to them, and I suggest what I suggest you do with every band you're going to listen to on this show, to listen to a whole album. I mean, pick an album that you want. Just scroll the deck and flip and pick an album or whatever you want to do. Start with the beginning, however you fancy. But listen to the whole album and really get a feel for what the music really felt like. And these guys on stage, when you hear their music and you know what they are, you can see this and you're like, yeah, that's them. And the inspiration from Keith Richards and the Rolling Stones is like, it's there 100%. Led Zeppelin, all those bands, they were pulling direct inspiration from these guys. Let's see here. Bad Moon Rising in 69. I'm just scanning through here, see what I see good. The B-side of Green River peaked number 30 of the Billboard. Huh. Yep. At the Woodstock Festival in 1969, the band took stage early morning hours after their scheduled start time. They followed the Grateful Dead, who John said had put the audience to sleep. As he scanned the audience, he saw a Dante scene, just bodies from hell and intertwined in a sleep. Oh my gosh, covered with mud. In addition to the low energy crowd, the band also experienced issues with their equipment and lighting, resulting in John writing their inclusion in the Woodstock film or soundtrack. Wow. Can you imagine the horrors that they had to go through? 1969 Woodstock was a crazy place. And 99 wasn't much better, I have to admit. And people keep saying for it to come back, and I get it, but it's having a good thing ruins it because everybody goes to it and ruins it. it's the classic thing about concerts. The best places to go to sometimes there are holes in the wall for that exact reason, because you're avoiding all the drama, like the crowds. Oh man, what a crazy world. Let's see. Let's see here. Yep, they were in the armed forces, which gives it a lot of their military vibe in their song, and that's part of the reason why. In 1966, John and Doug were drafted into the U.S. Army, and actually, the song "Proud Mary" was because he got his letter of resignation from the military, and he ran outside to go and do a cartwheel in the yard because he wanted to be able to remember the moment. So yeah, he literally did a cartwheel in the yard, and he already had the principle of the song written down, and then he went inside and picked up the guitar and then wrote the song "Proud Mary." Another great song, another great album, another great concept of a song. These musicians, I like to think, they're channeling the universe. I mean, the ideas that these guys are getting are coming from somewhere. I mean, you hear about his interview and his story of the documentary. He's just writing down "Proud Mary," and he doesn't even know what it means yet. Until later on, he talks about how he has a song full or a list of notes for song names, and at the bottom of the list, it talks about riverboat. And he later on puts together in his head, he's like, oh, it's the name of the boat, Proud Mary. And that's why on the song, he talks about rolling down the river. And then even the way the song's played, it's like the paddles of a boat, the way he plays the guitar over and over again. Super intricate. Like, I was a mastermind of music. It just shows you that you don't have to be a super master musician to be a great musician. I mean, to understand the way music works, to really dive into it like an art, it's just like being a painter. I mean, anybody could draw a stick figure, but to go, I'm going to add a little bit more to that, create a little bit of depth, create a little bit of life to it. And you could do the same thing with your art and your music. When you're trying to say, oh, I want to add a little bit more tempo to it. Oh, actually, I want to add a little bit less tempo to it. Okay, I want to add in a little bit more bass. Let's do some lead guitar. It's like you start to become a composer, craft your own music. You don't have to be a genius to do that. It's a matter of common sense. And once you start to build that intellect of learning rhythm, clapping your hands to a beat, which you all know how to do, then you can build upon that. Start to create rhythm and style and dynamics. And these guys are full of it. You should check them out. Highly recommend listening to a full album. There's a lot of, I don't play favorites, but they're great. Green River's a great album. Cosmos Factory is a really great album. Honestly, it has a lot of great songs. Probably 7 or 8 great songs on that album alone. So yeah, guys, check them out, and let me know what you think about the episode. So I haven't planned the next band so far, so. Cheers, everyone. Cheers, cheers, cheers. But yeah, I plan on doing this and talking about more bands that are kind of, underrated. Because, maybe everyone in here in the chat knows about it, but chances are if you ask anybody under 30 who CCR is, they don't have a clue who it is. It's kind of something we need to bring light of it to. Yeah, we're going to be doing this every Saturday. And then after here I get off, we're going to join on Discord. We're going to try to do a jam session together, but we need to start bringing these bands to light. It's a world famous band, and they did a lot of work. Even in the short span, they were a band. And again, all drama inside with the band, they had some great music, and it needs to be brought to light. Because when you're doing whatever it is you're doing, you're working out, maybe you're having a hard day, maybe you're having a great day, it's perfect music for any of those things. And everybody can listen to it and like it, because it's great music. 100%. What's up? What's up? Cosmo Factory is pretty good. I don't want to play favorites, but I guess if you had to back me into the wall, Cosmo Factory is really good. Cheers, Sam. Yeah, you guys come join me over on Discord here in just a minute. If you guys got any follow-up questions, we're going to end it here in just a couple minutes. Afternoon, guys. Appreciate you joining in. We're going to do this every Saturday. And again, I have a band picked out for next Saturday, but I'm just going to start doing a little bit of more research before the bands, but this is kind of my life. I've done this. I spent more time in school doing research on bands than I did doing my work. So it's kind of like my lifestyle. So I'd like to dive a little bit deeper. And then there's stuff that I learned researching about CCR that I never knew before. 100%. Some songs that I found that I never knew before too. So pretty good stuff, guys. Check them out. Cheers, everyone. Thank you guys for joining in. Hey, we're gonna see you next time. This is Riffin with HB. We'll see you on next week's episode. Bye, guys. Have a great day.